This is the Retirement Bullpen with Richard Warner. The team at Warner Financial Solutions want to help you feel confident about your retirement, no matter where you stand. Get more at warnerfinancialsolutions.com. Now, the Retirement Bullpen.
We've all heard of arachnophobia, not just the movie from, I think it was the 90s, maybe the 80s, but it's the fear of spiders, certainly one that I have. And perhaps you've even heard of acrophobia, which is the fear of heights. But I recently read about a new fear, and this one may surprise you. Stay tuned to find out what it is. You are listening to the Retirement Bullpen. I am here with our host, Richard Warner. Richard is an investment advisor representative and certified retirement income professional and owner of Warner Financial Solutions right here in Nebraska. You can learn more at warnerfinancialsolutions.com. And today we are diving into what is known as the fear of money and talking about how that fear shows up in retirement. But before we dive in, Richard, how are you today?
I am doing great today. How are you doing, Alyssa?
I am doing well, adjusting to the change in temperature, but doing well. We're going from 75 to 40. It's, a little all over the place, but otherwise, no complaints.
Yeah, we're having a change too. We had warm, then cold, but it's actually warmed back up again for a few days. So we've got some upper 60s and 70s for a few days now. But then it's going to get back.
That's what's coming our way.
And it's going to get back into the 40s next week. So, hey, it's better than being, at least in this area of the country, we could be in the 30s every day right now, potentially. So this is way better than that. So I'll take it.
Right. 'Tis the season. We just have to get used to
That's
it.
right. That's right.
Well, a friend of mine recently sent me an Instagram post about unusual phobias, and I was reading through it, and one of them stood out. It's called plutophobia, which is the fear of money. And it got me thinking about how this fear could show up in retirement, especially as anxiety comes with spending savings. They've spent their whole life, sort of putting this money away, and now there's this big mental shift about spending it. And I know that you hear stories that some people fear poverty more than they fear dying. And I wanted to know what you think drives that fear and how retirees especially can reframe their mindset to embrace this new chapter with confidence instead of fear.
Well, I think there's a lot of factors that go into it, and I'm not a psychologist, but I can give you my thoughts on it. People work their whole lives to save, especially when you're talking about the retirement aspect. They work their whole lives and save and they save and they save and they save. And part of the fear is running out of money in retirement. Part of the fear is having to flip that switch, if you will, and go into retirement mode, start enjoying doing the things that you kind of dreamed about your whole life. And then the money's gone, or you run out of money and you have to flip that switch back and go back to work. I think that's a really, really big part of what makes people afraid of poverty. Mm-hmm. But obviously it goes deeper prior to retirement too. But I think our focus here today is probably on retirees and people that are nearing retirement.
You hear people even that have millions, that they've put away, they're still opting to work. And I wondered if that's as much as has to do with their identity or financial security, or if you see in your office a mix of both.
So I do meet a lot of people that, two reasons really, and you kind of hit them both on the head. They are working because they want to. They're working because it gives them a sense of purpose. I'll use myself as an example. I mean, I'm not necessarily near retirement age, but I have a hard time seeing myself fully just shutting down ever in my life and doing nothing but hobbies and travel. Okay.
Right.
It would take a lot of hobbies and a lot of travel. Work gives us all, at least most of us, I think, a sense of purpose. Now, a lot of people do that in retirement on their terms versus there's some people that they have to keep doing it. Maybe they haven't saved well. Maybe circumstances have hit them in their life that require that they weren't able to save well, that they have more expenses or debt than they would like because maybe it was a health issue. I meet people like that all the time. Maybe had major health issues and didn't have the greatest health insurance or didn't have health insurance at all. And they get themselves into a situation where they can't really ever get out of the hole, if that makes sense. And so they continue working not because they want to. They'd love to retire because they don't have the option. But I meet a blend of both. I think it's one of those two things. Typically, it's driven by a desire to have a sense of purpose, to do something, but also sometimes it is just out of pure survival. That going back to that fear we discussed of I don't want to be without, so I'm going to work and work and work and work as long as I can.
Because there really is that. It's a very significant mind shift that happens when you're used to receiving a paycheck every 2 weeks. It's like clockwork. It shows up in your account. And now suddenly that's changing. And there's that sense of I'm about to let go. And maybe I'm not 100% sure of what, if the net that's below me is going to catch me.
Yeah, I almost use an example of you're stepping over this canyon, if you will. You have this, or you can imagine yourself, I'm visiting the Grand Canyon and I'm going to step out onto this platform that I can't see, but I know it's there. You're taking this step you've never taken before from a standpoint of I have received that check and now I have to make sure that what I've done is going to work. And I'm going to keep getting that check. I'm going to keep getting that check. So then that drives back to that fear of I don't want to run out of money someday. So I think some people are blended on that, the reasoning too. Some people have that fear. They have enough, but they can't get over that fear. So they use the reasoning of I need a sense of purpose. But the reality is they have plenty. I talked with a lady yesterday. I won't use names obviously, but I talked with a lady yesterday. Plenty of money to retire. Doesn't really want to do what she's doing. Doesn't dislike it necessarily. And also has plenty of things that she would like to do. She said that many times, but is just afraid of running out at some point. I don't want to be, and there's really no way that's going to happen in this situation. Sure. So yeah, everybody has to deal with it to a certain extent. Some people are more comfortable than others. So
do you think that the longer lifespans are a factor in the fear? Because, I think back to, say, my grandmother's generation and retiring at 65, most people were hoping they would live 5 to 7 years in retirement. And if the average life expectancy was, passing in your early 70s, then, they were only looking to spread that money over a few years versus now you have people retiring as young as 62. And they might live to be 92. And so that same money now has to cover, 3 decades. Do you think that plays a factor?
I do. A lot of people will cite that. I don't know how long I'm going to last, but I don't know that it's necessarily about how long they're going to live, but what is it going to cost them to stay alive? That kind of sounds a little weird, but we have so much technology and advancements in medicine today that people are living longer, but they need more care to live longer. And a lot of those things are going to be covered under Medicare, but a lot of them aren't. And so that brings questions into their mind of, okay, will I have enough money to pay for all this stuff, or am I going to get stuck in a nursing home, which I think is even a greater fear to some than dying or even poverty is getting stuck in a nursing home, whether they want to admit it or not. But I talk to people all the time. They absolutely detest. They don't even want to talk about that concept or subject because it's almost as though if I don't discuss it or think about it, it's not going to happen, which it's not going to happen to everybody. Most people aren't going to get stuck in a nursing home, but most people are going to need some sort of care. So it's definitely something you discuss and plan. But yeah, so you have the fear of running out of money. You have the fear of having unexpected expenses with long-term care or just medicine in general, healthcare in general. Medicine is probably not the right word, but healthcare in general. And how is that going to play a role? Because those are things you can't predict in a software program. Those are things you can't predict based on my grandparents' life expectancy. There's just so many factors.
And it makes, to be honest, it's a legitimate fear when you hear that the average couple age 65 and older can expect to spend $350,000 on healthcare costs in their retirement years. And so people read that number and they see that number, pop up in an article, and that's a huge chunk of your retirement plan to make sure that you have something in place to cover your healthcare needs. Yeah,
it is. It's a big number, and the statistics would also show that of that couple, one of them is likely to have the need for care. Now, it's possible that neither of them do and both of their neighbors do. You don't know where those statistics play out, but yeah, the statistics are not in anybody's favor. And so it drives that fear. Things get more expensive and it affects everything and how people decide what they want to do. So you see more and more people pushing that back, or maybe doing something on the side or whatever. And then trying to keep the income going as best they can, as long as they can.
I was going to ask, are you seeing that as a trend where retirees are more likely to just do maybe sort of a phased retirement? Maybe they're going to do consultation work and only work a couple of days a week in their line of expertise versus just cold turkey, we're going to stop. Maybe we're sort of phasing retirement.
I would say the last 2 or 3 years, yes. But there was a funny little hiccup in that thinking, and that was in 2020. We saw a lot of people retiring, maybe in some cases before they should have, but they were close enough that they wanted to take the risk because they were so fearful of getting a disease being around people that they were retiring early and not phasing it. But then now you're seeing some of them coming back into the workforce on a part-time basis. But I would say over the last 3 years, 4 years or so, we have seen a lot of that where people they're going in retirement. I'm retiring from my full-time job because I don't really like my full-time job, but I do like doing this, this, and this. And I can work for this organization or this company maybe 20 hours a week, or consulting if they have some areas of expertise or whatever it might be. In the medical field, I see people doing stuff on the side part-time or doing with different nonprofits or different things, like just all sorts of different things where they can work essentially half the time or less, get some sort of paycheck. They don't have to eat into their funds as much. And in some cases, they can just, between the paycheck and Social Security, they can do pretty well. And then they can defer their savings a little longer, get a little more growth out of it, and make it last a little longer. There's less years they need to use it. So yeah, that's definitely a trend I see. I don't see near as many people just, I'm done.
Right. And I would imagine having that part-time job that still allows for, we've coined the phrase, the go-go years. When you first retire, that's when you're going to go see family or go take that trip. And having a part-time source of income doesn't necessarily interfere with that ability to have those go-go years. In fact, it may be an enabler to allow you to do it without that fear or worry and actually go and enjoy yourself.
Right. I see people doing that too. That sort of thinking is, I'm going to work part-time in the early years of retirement, and that's going to pay for all of my travel. And then I don't have to withdraw funds from my savings for the travel, which will allow my savings to grow more. Or maybe they are drawing what they planned, but they're going to do extra travel or go extra places so they can really, which isn't a bad strategy. I mean, it's really not.
Sure.
People bring that up in conversation all the time. Like, what if I work for this much and make this much? Maybe I have a seasonal work when it's warm, and then when it's cold, I'll take that extra money and I'll spend it and we'll stay, I don't know, Arizona, Florida, or what have you for a couple of
be a snowbird.
Yeah, for a couple of months, and I'll have the extra funds to pay for those things that I'll do while I'm down there. So yeah, definitely.
If somebody is listening to this and they're realizing that probably fear is factoring into their decision making a little more than maybe they would like, what's one tangible, actionable item that they could do right now that you would recommend as a strategy to sort of get over that hurdle of the fear and make decisions from a less emotional place?
So it's very, very simple. One word is called planning. More people than not, and probably significantly, a lot of that fear is driven from the unknown. Some of them have planned. Don't get me wrong. There's some that have planned, and still, they're just by nature, they're just fearful. They worry about the future. But a lot of it really boils down to, I have not made a plan or considered how this is going to work out. So I really don't know. Sometimes they're even afraid to make the plan because of what the plan's going to say. So fear plays a big role in even taking steps to eliminate the fear, which I know sounds crazy, but it's how we are sometimes when I say we humans. So, I
mean, it makes sense. You have people that, know something's not quite right, but they don't want to go to the doctor because they don't want to hear, they don't want confirmation that, what they're feeling is indeed not right. And
that's a good analogy.
Sort of that denial. Yeah. But as we know, it's sort of like turning on the light in the closet when you're a kid. You think the monster is a lot bigger when the light's off and you don't face it. Then when you turn on the light and you go, oh, it's actually not a monster. It's just my clothes. It's not, it's a little more approachable. And the same can be true when you're sitting down and having that conversation with a financial advisor to just go, maybe it's not as bad as your imagination is leading you to believe.
When you sit down and really dive into it in a structured way to understand where you're at, where you want to go, and project all those numbers into the future. Again, it's all hypothetical, but it's something if you do on a year in, year out basis with somebody that knows what they're doing, you can create a little bit, and in a lot of cases, a lot of sense of certainty about how the financial future of your situation is going to go. And it's just taking that first step of starting the process.
Well, fear in retirement is a lot more common than we think, but it does not have to be permanent. Whether you're letting go of a paycheck or you're just now stepping into your go-go years, the key is to have a plan and a partner that you feel confident is on your side. So if retirement is on your horizon, head on over to warnerfinancialsolutions.com. There you can sign up for a newsletter to get more information. You can also find previous podcast episodes where Richard and I dive into some of these retirement topics, but more importantly, you can schedule a complimentary consultation with Richard where you can sit down and have that conversation. And Richard, you hear these fears all the time, so this is not new to you.
No, it's not. It's not. So a lot of people are embarrassed to share them. I mean, they really are, but it's not uncommon. It's unusual for somebody not to have some sort of fear looking at these types of things.
So if you're out there and you're feeling fearful, you are not alone. Schedule that complimentary consultation, and hopefully you can ease some of those fears with a plan and a little bit of clarity, which will give you confidence toward your future. Richard, it is always a pleasure to talk to you. We're heading into the holiday season. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season.
You as well.
And we'll talk again soon.
Looking forward to it.
Insurance products are offered to the insurance business Warner Financial. Warner Financial is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Warner Financial are not subject to investment advisor requirements. NPN number 7617022. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be considered as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Warner Financial is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Warner Financial. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. IPW provides services without regard to political affiliation, and the views of the individual advisors are not necessarily the views of IPW.